the month.
All right, so we've got people coming in here. Did anyone watch the Super Bowl yesterday, or is that just an American thing?
Mainly
Normally
American.
I watch, but I didn't know it was yesterday. But I like to watch Super Bowl. Who won?
The Rams won. It was a
Rams.
my wedding's anniversary yesterday, so my wife and I got up and we went and played a set of doubles and at the local park, and I could not lose that game with her if we were gonna have a happy anniversary dinner afterwards. So that was fantastic. We should have Jeff coming on here in a sec. I'm just gonna ping him to make sure he's not having issues getting in.
Hi, Ramon. It's Teresa here. I know it says Joanne on my screen.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Teresa.
say,
Yeah.
I know.
You have a
I
new
look very
member.
much like Teresa. It's a long story. So I have Joanne here on this particular iPad that I'm using. I'm traveling, so I don't take my fancy expensive iPad, and I'm not hooked in from home. So this one is in case it gets stolen or lost, nobody can
Are you?
identify me. There you go.
Are you?
Anyway, how are
holidaying
you guys
again?
doing?
We're doing very good. Are you holidaying again?
I am. I'm in Cancun.
Oh.
Are you jealous?
Yes.
Do you want to see a picture? Do you want to see a
know
picture? I don't know if you
yeah,
can see
yeah.
a picture of the palm
Lovely.
trees.
I know Cancun
Oh.
well. I know Cancun
Yes.
well. I
beautiful.
worked for a few years in Merida, which is about an hour
Oh,
from
really?
Cancun.
Sure. Yep.
And
I'm just down the road at the Club Med, and they have a good tennis pro here. So played
Lovely.
tennis this morning. It was great. Yeah.
we want
Yeah.
to be staging a training camp in Cancun in due course.
Really? Where and when?
Well, to coincide with having a week immersed with Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's the plan. So I don't know is the answer. But Cancun would be a great place for a camp. Easy to get to, I think.
It's very, very easy. And let me tell you that if you have it in the winter, you'll have an awful lot of Canadians fly there for sure.
If you could do me a favor while you're there, could you find out
Yes.
what would be a good place to stage it? I'm
Okay.
very happy
Well,
with public courts. It doesn't have to be a private or a resort,
Mhm.
as long as the courts
Okay.
are good.
right. I will speak with the tennis pro here, actually.
Thank you.
I don't know if this might be, it might be of interest to you, Mark, but I did notice today that they had taken over 2 or 3 of the tennis courts for pickleball, a big event. Clearly,
Mhm.
it was about, there must have been 50 people from the States who had come to Club Med for this 1-week event of
Yeah.
pickleball.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
might be able to organize something similar, like call it a takeover, if you will.
Yeah. The
They
Club
might
Med
offer
courts
2
might
courts.
be. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
How many courts would you need? 3?
4 probably. 4.
4 courts. Okay.
And it's obviously price is a consideration, not necessarily for me, but for the people coming to it. So
Right.
public courts, good public courts that we can have access to, and then people can splinter off and stay wherever they want to stay, and we all meet for dinner would be cool. Whereas with Club Med,
Okay.
obviously we're in Club Med.
Right. And
President
you
Gons-
pay for Club Med.
Sorry, Ramon, I'm sorry, I'm taking up the
Hmm.
webinar with Teresa. But it's nice to see you,
Okay.
Teresa.
Nice to
Great.
see you too. Any news on the dates for Florida, by
Yes,
the way?
and
And your
end of April, May, to coincide
Yes,
with
yes.
the World Team and World Individual. And I'll be
Okay.
writing to you and others individually to see what your
Good.
preferences are and to see if we can coalesce people's preferences.
Right. Okay, because if it is semi-confirmed that it's a go, then I
It's
will plan
semi-confirmed.
accordingly.
Yeah.
Pardon
No,
me?
semi-confirmed. It's semi-confirmed.
Semi-confirmed. Okay,
Aaron's putting
okay.
me in touch next week with people that organize courts.
Okay.
The
Right.
date is firmly locked in my brain. And
Mhm.
gladiators will descend upon Palm Beach Gardens,
Good.
end of April, beginning of May.
Super, because I've been in touch with Charlotte about that, and we're talking about possibly sharing a room and coordinating
Lovely.
our escapade there. And I hope Kelly as well will
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to join us.
She
Haven't
will.
contacted her yet. Good,
Well, if
good.
you can join in the escapades, that'd be great. Ramon, over
That'd
to
be
you.
super, super. Okay.
Awesome. It's going to be so much fun. So we're very
Yeah.
fortunate today because we got Jeff here. And Jeff was doing this with us because, he believes in the program and how we're building it. But he was really in a supporting role. And to be fair, he's one of the top, players, top level coaches in the game who's actually played on the tour. And he's got a million things going on. So it's understandable. But Jeff, I just want to bring you on here and kind of see why you wanted to jump on and be with us.
Is this Jeff Salzenstein? The
Oh,
Jeff Salzenstein.
the Jeff,
that him?
the Ramon. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, great.
So I wanted to come on. Ramon and Mark. I did a presentation on resilience about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know how long it's been, and did a talk for their winning summit. And then Ramon reached out to me a few months ago and said, "Hey, I haven't reached out to any online instructors, but I want you to consider partnering up with us on." And they told me about the course. I learned more about it, and it really aligns with how I teach in person and how I work with clients and how I even do video analysis, because I see a lot of challenges with how people are practicing and how they're training. And also, I have the good fortune of making a million mistakes as a professional athlete over the years. And I look back on all the things I did well and all the things I could have done better. And so that's one of my missions as a coach, is to help everybody not make a million mistakes like I did, although mistakes are amazing because that's really how you learn. But one of the things I wanted to start with today is that I'm going to start with a story because I like stories, and I know that Ramon and Mark like stories as well.
Love them.
So my story is that I was 28 years old, and I had not broken the top 100 yet, and I had gotten to about 150 in the world. I had already gone through 2 surgeries before the age of 25, one to my knee, one to my ankle. I had shoulder issues. And I had been on a quest from about age 25 all the way up to now, 20 plus years later. I've been on a quest to learn about the human body, to learn about mindset, to learn how to practice, to learn technique, anything to do with performance. And so at this stage in my career, I was 28 and I hadn't broken the top 100. I think I was about 180, 200 in the world. I was coming back from these injuries. And I was training. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And I'd been there for about 6 months, and I was a little bit lost. I didn't have a coach. And I remember there were 2 gentlemen from Atlanta, Brian Vahaley and Robbie Ginepri, who got to 14 in the world. They were both training in Atlanta, Georgia, under a coach by the name of Jerry Baskin, who I learned a ton from. And I said, heck, these guys broke the top 100 in 6 months of being on the tour. And I had been out there for 6 years, and I hadn't done it yet. And so the crazy guy that I am, I got on a plane and I flew to Atlanta, Georgia, instead of staying in Los Angeles, where I felt a little stuck. And I started training with Jerry, and Jerry helped me a lot. But what was really interesting, and kind of these side door, sideways, sliding doors way that life works, I was in Atlanta and I was struggling with my volley, and I had another coach say, listen, you got to go check out this coach down at this club. He's a really eccentric dude. He's from Ireland. He lives in Atlanta, and he's very interesting. And you probably will have fun with him on the court. And that's all there was to it. So I hopped down to this club, and I walk up to the club, and this guy's teaching a lesson. He's got YouTube blaring in the background. He's got a sword on the court that he had staked in the ground into the clay court. And I walked up, and in his Irish accent, he's like, "G'day, mate." I can't do the accent. And I was like, who the heck is this guy? And it turns out his name is Joseph O'Dwyer. And he was the first coach that taught me the power of visualization and targets. So most of my coaches growing up were very analytical. they were teaching me how to turn my shoulders and how to bend my knees. And so I'm left-handed, and I was actually trained like a righty. I was trained to be analytical, but really I'm an artist. And so Joseph, at 28 years old, brought the artist out in me. And every day we would practice, he would put the targets down and we would work on targets. And so anytime I would find myself wanting to go to technique, this crazy Irish dude would put the sword in the ground and say, we're going to hit our spots. And so ultimately, I broke the top 100 in the world 2 years later with this crazy coach. I was the buttoned up Stanford guy with the hair parted down the side. And he was the Irish dude with the hair everywhere and, liked to drink a little bit and have a good time. And so we were a very weird pair that got together and teamed up and did some fabulous things together. I want to finish that story with another example of targets and how to train. Robert Lansdorp coached 5 number ones. He's based in Los Angeles. He's probably in his 80s now. He coached Pete Sampras, Tracy Austin, Sharapova, Meskina. The list goes on. Michael Joyce, Justin Gimelstob, a lot of top 50 pros. And he was known for being this gruff character. And I remember growing up in Colorado and everyone talked about, you got to go see Robert Lansdorp. Well, I was scared to go see Robert Lansdorp because I never liked coaches to yell at me. And I always heard he was a yeller. So I avoided him until I was 28 years old and I was desperate. And so I was going around to all these different coaches. And I finally took my first lesson from Robert Lansdorp at 28 years old. You're not too old to take lessons, even as a pro. And I go out there and sure enough, his targets, he had targets up and he had stakes going up through the net. So I really like to use targets above the net because then you're looking at a specific spot where you want it to go. And he had these up and he said, yeah, Sharapova can hit her backhand down the line. She'll hit 9 out of 10 and it will actually hit the stake with the tennis ball can on top of it. And so they would do that for hours and hours and hours. And I found out real quickly I wasn't great at hitting my targets in that lesson, but he happened to be very nice that day. And so all of those stories I had created about how mean he was were debunked because I think as a 28-year-old, he wasn't going to get on me that day. But, 2 very powerful examples of how we're not talking about technique. There's subtle things with technique you can weave into with the targets, but it's always targets first. And I feel like club players are missing this piece, that the pro athletes, they understand that you see everything in your mind's eye first before you can create it. And so I know these guys are talking a lot about that every day and they're getting you to shift your mindset. And I wanted to come on today to tell a few tales about my experiences on the tour. And I probably could tell several more, but just wanted to open it up with that today and see where it leads.
Fabulous, Jeff. Anybody got any comments, insights, feedback for Jeff? Jeff, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Come on, boys and girls, don't be shy. You've got Jeff here.
I do. Hi, Jeff. My name
Hello.
is Simi,
Hi,
and
Simi.
I've bought a bunch of your content, and I think that what you just said is so brilliant, and it resonates with me. I've been injured for the last 5 years. I've had 2 surgeries in 15 months. It's been nuts. And because I couldn't play, I was working on technique. And I fell into the technique trap. And instead of, the game is out there on the other side of the net. It's not inside thinking about how to set up your forehand. And so I just love what you said. That's it.
Thank you.
Can
I'll
I
jump
say
in.
something to?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank
No,
you,
no, go.
Terry. Can I say something? Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
There was one day that I could not serve. I was just really struggling, and my serve was going down into the net on the beginning of the net near the ground. So I remember the lesson that Jeff said. You have to aim higher and aim maybe at the fence. So I began to aim much more higher than I was aiming at the fence, the back fence, and then my serve began to go into the serve box. So that's the aiming thing is fantastic.
And you got the
Thank you.
course in the first 24 hours.
You-
So you're done.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that, you know, when you guys are talking, it brings, I start remembering stories, right? And one of my favorite stories that I like to tell when I speak, I was playing in Champaign, Illinois at a challenger, and I was really tight. And it was the first round of this challenger. And again, you know, I'm playing guys between 100 and 400 in the world, some guys in the top 100, but I remember all my ground strokes were landing short. And it was the first round match. I was playing a guy about 400 in the world. I was feeling the pressure because I was supposed to win. And for 2 hours, I was, you know, just short arming all my strokes. And so I remember in this Champaign, Illinois indoor courts where the University of Illinois plays, you look up above where the person's serving, you look up above the backstop, and they have all the Big Ten banners, University of Michigan, Purdue, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan State, Northwestern, all the banners are up about 30 feet high in the air. And I said, F it, I'm just going to aim for those banners. And just by aiming for the banners, it allowed my arm to actually extend out towards where I needed to go. And the ball started landing deep. So I had to do this crazy exaggeration of my targets in order to free myself up. I ended up winning that match. And I ended up winning the entire tournament. I beat Taylor Dent in the finals. So,
Did you?
so if I didn't make that mindset shift to aim for the banners, which is crazy, right? You would never aim for the banners. You're trying to hit between the
Yeah.
lines. But sometimes you have to trick your brain to do something different, a pattern interrupt, in order to unleash the potential inside of you. But that I could have lost that day, gone home, thought my tennis was terrible. Instead, I ended up winning 5 matches and winning the tournament. So another example of how you can shift things just by exaggerating, doing some different things, aiming to different spots until you unlock the secret for yourself that particular day.
Yeah,
I've got a-
thanks,
I've got-
Jeff. I was just going to jump in with a comment. I've also subscribed to a lot of your content over the years, and I really strongly
Right.
recommend to others the
No Zoom call?
tennis strategy product that you have, and also the mindset one is absolutely fantastic. So really great, and that's really helped my tennis over the years. And thanks for pointing me towards the winning formula as well, because it was your nudge, the one that said access revoked, which I thought, Jesus, what have I done? But it did get me. It was a clever tactic. See, you were thinking out the box again, Jeff.
I wish I could take full credit for that one, but maybe I will today. But no, I'm not taking full credit. But yeah, apparently it was a good way to nudge you a little bit.
No, it was great. Yeah, you endorsing this course really helped convince me as well. But I then looked into it more, and I thought this seems really powerful, and kind of building on what you've been talking about in your mindset course in particular, but having those targets. And one final thing I'd add is, you know, this weekend I played. We have these Fast Four events in the UK. I don't know if you know what Fast Four is. Yeah, so basically I played one over at Bromley Tennis Centre, and the standard's about 5.0 to 5.5, I would say. So it's decent standard, and I played a couple of young guys, and I was playing this one guy in the warm-up, and I was thinking, Jesus, you know, this is going to be really tough. Like it felt like he was hitting massive. He's one of these guys that like to really hit the ball in the warm-up, a bit like Rafa or something, and he had that kind of intensity. And I think, you know, before taking this course, I might have got intimidated by that, but because I had this really clear plan of, you know, my serve +1 and my return +1, I just kept going back to that. And so I managed to beat this guy in 3 sets, which was great, 10-2 in the final tiebreak, but just sticking to that discipline. And what was really interesting was when I forgot, because it's still training my mind to remember to like have the clarity to visualize those first 2 shots and even the shape of the ball and where it's going to land. When I forgot, those were the times when I made the errors, where the ball just sailed wide or it sailed long by quite a big margin. I never really made any wild errors. So I lost my second match like 4-3, 4-3, so 2 tie breaks against a really good player. But I was pleased with my performance in both matches. So I just really want to say thanks for that, but also to indicate that I feel that it's already showing very good signs of promise. I'm not convinced I would have done as well in those matches. I would have been intimidated before even starting the match, I think, a few weeks ago. So I think it was a good start.
Awesome.
I have a question for Jeff and as well as Ramon and Mark, I think. So we're saying we should think about targets and visualization in practice and I think in matches. Do we also think about technique or any particular tips? Like the one that I think helps me the most that I'm kind of focusing on is head on the ball, keep the head down. Do we think about that in training while we're thinking about targets, or is that separate from targets? Do we think about that during our matches or other technical tips we might be working on?
I'll run with this one first. I want to piggyback off of the last comment from Terry. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret here. You guys want to know a little secret from the tour? Another secret? Okay. You sure?
Yes.
You sure you want to learn the secret? Okay.
Yes.
He's teasing us.
Here's the secret. All right. I'm not going to revoke your access here. All right. So here's the secret. The times when I played my worst tennis, I didn't make 2 balls in a point. Every time I lost serve, if I were to chart a match, if I charted a match, there was usually 1 double fault in the game, 1 first ball forehand error, or a high forehand volley that I came in after a serve and volley. And if there were 1 to 2 of those in a game, I usually lost serve. So that carries through regardless of the level. So even if you're watching pro tennis today and you see Roger Federer lose serve, see if he made any first ball forehand errors that game. So what I would do when I recognized that I was missing a lot of first balls, and when I say first balls, I'm talking, let's say first 2 balls. I'm talking, I hit a serve and I miss a forehand. That's for me, that's a first ball error, but we could be calling it +1 here, right? Or if I'm returning and I make the return and I run across the court and I miss that first ball after the return, that's again, the +1. Whenever I strung a couple of those together where I missed, I'm not coming close to breaking serve and I'm not coming close to holding serve. So what I would tell myself sometimes is say, listen, I just need to make 2 balls. That's my goal. I'm going to make 2 balls. I'm going to make the return and I'm going to make the first ball after. And I don't care if both shots go straight down the middle of the court. I don't even need to aim to a target. I just need to go, the target is down the middle. So sometimes I'd even tell myself, we're getting outside of +1. I'm just going to hit 3 balls or 4 balls straight down the middle of the court. And guess what? Here's another secret. A lot of times my middle balls never went down the middle because I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to put it down the middle. They'd go cross court. They'd go down the line. And sometimes I'd hit winners when I was aiming down the middle and the whole crowd would go crazy. And I wouldn't tell them that I didn't aim there. Okay. My down the line backhand winner, when everyone goes nuts, it was actually a ball I was aiming cross court. So my point is that even at the highest level of the game with my skill set, I would tell myself, just make 2 balls. Make 2 balls. Just start the point with 2 balls and see what happens. Because what happens is when you start making 2 balls, then guess what? You make your 3rd ball and you make your 4th ball. And then you gain a little confidence and you gain rhythm. We fall out of rhythm when we miss our first 2 shots, whether it's a serve. A lot of times when I was tight serving, I know I'm going on riffs here. The tightest points when I was serving, 5-4 in the 3rd, going for it, I'd go straight in the middle of the box, 1st and 2nd serve. No wide, no tee, no nothing. Just right down the middle, right at the guy's gut. And that's when I was so nervous because I knew I needed a lot of space to be able to hit the ball. So let me answer the question about technique. So I think where everybody's at, and again, I think, again, Ramon and Mark are going to have their concepts around this, but I think where everyone's at in this course, we're so heavily focused on technique. I think you really need to be dominating with your thoughts around hitting your spots. Okay, that needs to be the dominant focus. And I like to say, you can sprinkle in a little technique where it's okay, keep your head at contact here a little bit, but that's not primary, and shouldn't be the focus. I think you want to be aware of, hey, I'm aiming for my targets, but I do feel like I'm jerking my head a little bit. Okay, maybe I'll just be a little still on this next forehand, but it would be a very soft focus. And most of you are going to want to go hard focus to the technique. So I think the technique, it's underneath the surface, but you got to be real careful that you don't make it primary. So really emphasize, can I hit the ball 3 feet over the net? Can I hit the ball in the lane down the middle? And if I'm mishitting a little bit and I'm doing it for 5 or 10 minutes, okay, maybe keep your body a little more still. But I think keeping your head still or your body still when you hit the ball is different than, all right, cock the arm, lift your elbow, turn sideways. That's different because now we're getting into some body awareness. Being aware of how your body feels in space, to me, is a softer technique focus than the harder of like, get your elbow at a 46-degree angle because my coach told me to take my racket back early. That's the stuff where you're going to get in trouble. When I tried to change my backhand from a guy who took it straight back to a loop, it was an absolute disaster. I lost about 6 months on the tour because I tried to change my backswing on my backhand. So I'll turn it over to these guys. I'm sure they're going to have comments.
Ramon, can I chip in?
Yeah,
I
please,
wanted,
Mark.
oh,
What do you got, Pat?
I just wanted to say that I am somebody who takes a lot of tennis lessons and is a technique freak, which is very bad for my game. And since I started this course and trying a little bit of the stuff, it just gets me out of my head and it's wonderful. I'm hanging with people that are better than me. Just aiming, like saying to myself, okay, this person has a killer forehand, so I'm gonna serve into their body. And it's a miracle. It's a miracle, and I don't even know too much about what you're teaching, but what you're teaching for me is getting me out of my head and a miracle. And I also wanted to thank Jeff. I watched his serve fundamentals thing, to thank Jeff for allowing me to put my foot forward rather than trying my right foot forward into the serve, rather than having to jump on my left foot, which at my age would kill me.
Cool.
Because Jeff said, gave 2 choices for getting your body into serve. Anyway, the main point is that I'm trying to make is telling me that I only have to worry about my targets and another shot or 2 is a miracle. That's all I had to say.
Great. Before chipping what I was going to chip in on, just Pat and others, just be very careful of what words come out of your mouth, because word creates world, okay? And before the word comes the thoughts, and before the thought is the identity. So words like try, I know you think they're good words. Trying is not a good word. You don't get any prizes for trying, and it's not all in. So it's just another way of the brain having an exit before you start, because if you can't exit, you say to yourself, well, I was only trying to, okay? We won't discuss that now. It's all in the course and we'll discuss it later. Just to emphasize what Jeff was saying is that you need to train the technique on the training court by hitting targets. And in a match, you need to trust your unconscious and your instinct. So what that means is, with both the question and Jeff's answer on the soft technique, is not just allowed to be encouraged to look at the back of the ball at all the time and the point of contact. And instinct and unconscious will take over from there. If for some reason it's not, you just need to dial into your unconscious and it will automatically adjust how you're striking the ball, the height and target above the net, and hence where it will land. Okay? Anything harder than that soft technique of looking at the back of the ball and trusting your unconscious would be too much.
Yeah, and just to add before we get Fernando on here, I think the instinct part is huge. And by training the exact repetition of the 2-shot combos progressively, just like it's laid out in the course, guys, we're building the network of movement in the brain and the neural connections so that when you get out there, it comes out exactly the way it's supposed to. Fernando, been waiting long enough. I want to get you up here because you've been playing tennis for, I don't know, 15, 16 years. You've been around the block and you're a pretty high level player, but you joined and a day later, you went out and beat a guy 6-0 that you guys always have tight matches in. So just like to get you up here and hear a little bit about what's happened for you over the last, say, week or so.
And lost it on the previous 7 occasions on the bounce.
Yes. Well, it was always tough match. It was always a narrow match, and I was feeling that I was choking in big points. You know, I felt lost when I had to serve in a 40 all, 30 all advantage. I didn't know where to aim my serve, where to aim my second ball, first ball that Jeff calls. So I didn't know how to play these points, and I was feeling that I was choking. Too many double faults, too many unforced errors. Some of them on easy balls, easy forehands, easy volleys. Sometimes my serve worked well, but I didn't know what to do with easy forehand down the tee. So I felt that I was losing our match that I could win, you know. And then when I changed the way that I thought before the point begins, it gets better because as I said to Mark today in the morning, I was only thinking 2 things before the point begins. One, in the big points, I was thinking, I love pressure and my name is winner. And I'm gonna serve there, and the second ball, I want to it past the net, rising, it's still rising, and bounces in his backhand. It was the only thing that I thought. And then I didn't have time to think about being a victim, or why I lost the last point, why the ball hits the net and bounces in my side of the court. Things that I was always thinking about when I lost some points, and why I did a mistake on this forehand. I was always thinking these kind of things. Then I only thought those 2 things every point. I didn't have time to think in another things. That was the difference, and I felt that I had a clear pattern to play. I had a clear plan to follow every point.
Just massive, man. So cool. And I think that whole part about being a victim and, you know, touching on the identity part is man, this is like the gold that you know, I get so jacked up about when people go through this. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, we got Jeff has got to bounce. I think he's got a meeting coming up. So before he goes, anybody have any last questions for Jeff?
Hey, I got a question for Jeff.
Sure.
Hey, this is Michael Manley. Hey, Jeff, when you were playing on the Pro Tour, what was your, at the big, serving at 6'5", 30 all, or 5'6", 30 all, 30, 40? What was your, your go-to play? Like, was it serve out wide? Was it serve and volley? What was your favorite play to do in pressure situations?
Yes. So in the ad court, I'm a lefty. So having the wide slice where you pull the guy off the court was my bread and butter. The problem is that whenever I would play guys that had great two-handed backhands, Vince Spadia, Brian Vahaley, they would just take that away. It's like what Djokovic does now. He always takes away that wide serve, like against Nadal. And so that's pretty unnerving as a lefty when you always want to open up the court and they're taking your best serve away. But when they didn't take it away, it was like money in the bank. Just keep going out wide. So that was my number one play in the ad court. And there were many times, again, I would do it even if they knew it was coming, because I'm bringing my best and this is my best and this is what I'm bringing. And but there were times where I would fool them and I'd bang it down the tee and they'd get frustrated, which was always really fun to see on the other side, and them getting frustrated, not knowing where I was going to serve. In the deuce court, I liked, again, most of the time to serve down the tee to the guy's backhand. But obviously I practiced enough where I could hit all the spots. And so, at my level, you needed to be able to hit the spots and be able to mix it up. But I had my go-to patterns as a right-handed player. I would be developing. I'm a big fan of the wide serves because when you serve wide in singles, you're opening up the court and you have a huge court to work to. So I would be spending, as a right-handed player, I'd probably be spending much more than half the time perfecting the wide serve in the deuce court, and more than half the serve with time with the wide serve in the ad court, because we want to open up the court and make people run. If you're serving down the tee, they're standing in the middle and now you don't have as much space to work in. But again, I'm telling you, in the deuce court, I like to serve down the tee because that was natural for a lefty. So if you already have a natural serve down the tee in the ad court, make that your bread and butter. But just know that the wide serves are great to open up the court, and it all starts with your target practice. One thing I didn't mention yet is that, the only reason I played on the Pro Tour is because I developed my serve into a weapon. If you took my serve out of play, just like if you took John Isner's serve out of play, he's probably in investment banking right now. Okay. He's not a pro tennis player if you take his serve away. And I can honestly say that about myself. If you took my serve away and we just played baseline games all day, I'm not beating any of the Spanish guys or the guys from Brazil. Okay. So I made my serve my baby. I made it my best shot. And I probably practiced it and was OCD about it more than anyone in terms of in college. I would hit before our dual matches, before our practices, 20 minutes to targets. On the tour, before my matches, after my matches, 20 minutes to targets. Now, I know you all are not pro tennis players. You don't do this for a living, but it was the thing I practiced more than anything. And it was the thing I needed that allowed me to win big matches. So if you're not practicing your serve in the context, the way that Mark and Ramon are teaching you, then I highly recommend you look at your calendar and you say, okay, I play 3 times a week. When can I get 15 minutes on my own where I hit my spot and I can do it 7 out of 10 times? Okay. Or I can do a shadow forehand to my spot after a serve. So make sure you're getting that practice in. It really helped me a lot.
Awesome, Jeff. Scott, do you have time to see if you were similarly OCD on return of serves and breaking the serve more often?
I was. The challenge there is that I didn't always have someone that could hit serves to me. So that's why I always, when I would fly into a city, one of the first things I would do is I would buy 24 tennis balls at the sporting goods store and in the bag. And then I knew I could go out and practice my serve as soon as I landed or the next day. So I always had in my bag, I always had 24 balls that I could serve with at any time, any place. It was like eating for me. If I didn't brush my teeth and I didn't floss, I didn't hit my serves, I wasn't going to be who I could be as a tennis player. On the return side, I spent a lot of time when I had a coach or I had someone hitting serves to me, working on my return. But the times when I struggled the most is when I didn't get the practice in on the returns. But we would practice all different situations on the returns, you know, the different targets, the different positions. And that's what, when I give lessons, a lot of times I will start early with the serve and the returns. I give very unconventional lessons when I'm doing one-on-one work. So serve and return in that first ball is 80% of it.
Awesome. Gold. Hopefully we can do a training camp together. Who knows?
Sure.
That would be awesome because
Awesome.
we're so dialed in.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, man, for
Absolutely.
joining us.
Thanks,
Good.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
I
so
pulled
much.
some of the stories out of the ethers there. There's like 100 more, but I hope some of those resonated with you, even though I played at a different level. That's one reason I'm so passionate as a coach, is that I'm trying to bring the knowledge from the highest level, even into the game at the different levels, because it all overlaps and it all can apply, especially when you start focusing in your heart and in your mind. Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
See ya.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Awesome.
So cool. He's just such a great guy, and he's so relatable, you know, even though he played at, you know, an amazingly high level. You know, he relates, you know, so well. Charlotte, love to get you up here because, you know, you're not a stranger to this training. You know, you've done a live camp with Mark. You've done the online training, but it seems like in the first week, you sort of got another layer of that Serve Plus One. Could you come on and just share that with us really quick before we set up week 2? Is Charlotte with us? Oh, Charlotte may not be. Oh, I'm sorry, I muted you. Could you unmute?
There, how's that?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. I wanted to say that this is my second time on the online, and I have to say, I think I'm getting 4 times, 10 times as much as the first time. I think the first time I was just overloaded or just reconsidering, like it was like a mind shakeup. And this time I feel like I'm just going deep. And I've been training, Mark knows, and a couple of people may know my hitting buddy, Glenn. And we've been hitting buddies for about 4 years. He always beats me, has always beaten me. We'd be edging close sometimes, but then he'd beat me. And I always lost to him. And then eventually we just started starting sets at love 15 so that you'd level the playing field. So since starting this course, we went out for training and we did some drills and then we did the play. And I focused solely on serving wide, so Serve Plus One, and returning to the CD. That's all I did. Both serves, every shot. And and when we did sort of points to 21, I beat him 21-4. That has never happened. That was never even in a realm of possibility. He was just shaking his head, like he just didn't know what to make of this. Then we played a set. That was the one day, and then we got to 2-all, and he said we had to quit because we lost the court. But then he said, you know, you just lightened up a bit. You weren't as aggressive or as confident in your shots. So the next time he played 2 days later, I went out there again and I beat him 6-3. In 4 years, I've never done that.
Wow.
Like, oh my God, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new game.
So good.
And I did the you know, I followed the rules, but probably as important is I borrowed from Kelly and one other person in the first session that we had online, and I created a mantra: I am winner, and I play my best in matches. And I remembered that in the game. And then also, Mark, at 30-40 or 40-30, I would tell myself, I love pressure. Like, who would have thought that I could say that to myself? I was the biggest choker on the planet. I'm giving that up.
Charlotte, love you.
That's
Big
great.
hug from here.
So yeah, I'm excited. Like, I feel different about this tennis game.
So question, do you not sort of Are you unhappy about giving up your reactive, spontaneous, talented, do my best, thinking a lot, very emotional Charlotte? Because what you're just describing is simple, repeatable, peaceful. It might take something to give up that stuff.
Am I gonna miss it?
Yeah.
I prefer winning.
Okay. Just so good. And why do you think you got it this time? Because we spent some time on court in Toronto.
Yeah.
You've done a previous course. Why do you think first few days British light came on this time? Because it didn't come on previously. And we said the same stuff. This is not new.
Right. I don't know, Mark.
Okay.
I don't know, because I created an identity at that time also that was powerful. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I'll
don't worry.
reflect, I'll
But you
reflect on
got
the
it.
question. Yeah.
Don't have to. You've got it. Fantastic. Anybody want to ask Charlotte a question while she's in the hot seat?
Charlotte, do you think maybe it's because this time around you're more trusting of the process, where before you were maybe kind of holding on to some of your bad habits from the past?
Interesting.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Perhaps
that
you're
could
more
possibly,
loose.
I am losing, because I did practice the serve +1. So I've integrated it's a more natural process for me than it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
one word, belief. Charlotte, my theory is that you suddenly believed this business of belief.
Ah,
Yeah, that's probably true too.
Yep.
That's probably true too.
beautiful.
Mhm.
If I could just
Guys.
ask, rather than Ramon, is anybody struggling? And let's bring you into the hot seat too, because the mantra of the course is we either all get it or we all don't get it. So we can't crack on with some getting it and some not getting it. So anybody struggling or
I'm not
Hi,
quite sure
Mark.
what you mean. What do you mean by that, Mark? Sorry, it's Teresa here.
hi, Teresa. Well, we
Hello.
just had Fernando and Charlotte having awesome results in the first few days
Yes,
of the
yes.
30-day course. So
Yeah.
if anybody is just getting the same results as they've always gotten, and therefore might be, a bit frustrated or I don't quite get this, there'll be an opportunity every week to come into the hot seat and describe what's going on or what's not going on for everybody, not just Ramon and myself, to chip in.
Could I say something, Mark?
Please, it's a
Hi,
team
how
day.
are
I
you?
much prefer people to speak. I'm feeling great, thank you.
Okay, good. I am trying to square, I'm sort of like an armchair
Right.
participant.
Trying.
Second. Oh, God, there you go. Okay, I've had injuries. I'm 5 weeks post-op. I'm not supposed to play tennis for another month. And I will square this situation I am in with I'm sorry about that phone in the background, just ignore it. The whole I will thing I find fascinating because it applies to everything in life, whether it's I will get the gas in the car today. Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
And so what I'm asking you is, as sort of an armchair participant, I keep saying, I am doing my best. I am trying. I'm participating in a very limited way. And my takeaway from all of this is that, particularly with targets, is that it's a way to unclutter the mind, that it's putting something very, very simple in there, which I love and have not been able to do for the last couple of years, just because I've been focusing on technique while injured because I couldn't play. And when I did compete, I was competing injured. It was that was a fool's errand.
Yeah. Well, this is about training on and off court. Ramon, come on, chip in, mate.
Simi, I would ask you a question. Would it be possible for you to take some of the time that you would normally go out on court and have a purposeful, intentional sort of visualization? Because I know Dr. Aaron, who will hopefully be on with us next week, talks a lot about this.
Yes.
And how she takes that visualization process just as seriously as the on-court training. Is that something that you could do?
Absolutely, I could do that. 100% I could do it. And I could do it in my driveway. I looked at you with your Billie Jean King eye coach. I thought that that was just great. I even think I might be able to take that to a public court. And I think that the mind is so ignored because it's so easy to go out there and have fun. Oh my God, I'm going to go hit. I'm going to get get an endorphin high, and I'm going to feel so psyched. And I think that that is a bigger discipline. I'm allowed to hit some. I've hit a little bit. I don't particularly have a training partner. I've got some gals that yes, to answer your question, yes, Ramon, I can do that. And
Awesome.
The content of this course is so huge that I did have a question, and I don't want to get off track and take away from class time. How do we blend? I had this whole thing printed up which is it's so great. They did this at the UPS store. How do we balance the videos? How do we balance the videos with the book, etc.? I feel that I'm so far behind everybody, and even in the reading. Or does one just go through the videos and then I go through the book? I mean, it is so content heavy. I cannot believe it.
There's a lot of content. So Mark, I'd love to hear your opinion. I think getting into the videos first and foremost, Simi, will be the most efficient use of your time to sort of digest, what we're doing.
Yep.
And then the reading can be, you put it in the restroom, or, you get a chance to read it whenever you have a few minutes. Yeah, that's what I would say, because it is a lot of content and you're not behind at all. That's probably just a story that you have.
It is. Being behind is just a story. Wherever you are, it's absolutely perfect where you are.
Thanks, guys.
And regarding the reading, so I will, rare that I contradict Ramon, just park the reading for a side. So the course is layered, both in the videos that come out 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So you can do those, and they're only normally 10 to 15 minutes a time. You're on the WhatsApp group, doesn't take much time. You are on the weekly webinars, it's an hour. So most of the course, you can smash it elegantly, easily. Leave the reading from when you are going on court to do the drills, because then you can just choose 1 or 2 pages, do the drills, do the new scoring methodology, make yourself accountable, immediately put on the risk, which is part of pressure, and start drilling those targets. So you can just do the reading bite-sized at a time. Do not treat it as a novel and a book. That's also a fool's errand.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Ramon.
So guys, let's set up week 2. So like Jeff was saying, it's still critical that we're working on the serve +1, the return +1 every time we get out to train, because that's going to be, 70% of the points. For singles, we're going into disruption this week. So as we know, we don't want to be in long points. So in singles, we have 2 primary tactics to train, just the way we train serve +1, progressively 2 targets. And those are all going to be explained in the videos in your dashboard. So those 2 tactics to train progressively for singles. For doubles, we get into a little bit of Australian and I formation, and also getting into the volley fundamentals and the targets to hit as the volleyer in all the different roles. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions before we go on?
I have a question. I have signed up for singles. Do I also access the doubles information, or is it you're running 2 courses simultaneously here?
Yeah,
Well,
we're
right.
running 2 simultaneously, Charlotte.
Okay, got it. All right.
Good. And Pat, I will contact you and we'll have a separate WhatsApp during the week just to dial into the doubles with you. Okay. And the only thing I would say to Ramon is yes, we are, of course, practicing the disruptive pattern of play 5 to 8 shots. But I would also request that you repeat the +1 and return of +1, which you'll repeat every single week. So it becomes who you are. Any questions before we sign off? I love you all for being here. This is a
I have a
critical part of
question.
the course. Go on.
Sorry, it's Teresa here.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi,
Is
can
it
you
an
hear me?
easy question?
Well, it's a very easy question. You're referring to a book and readings. Where are those? Sorry, I don't want to sound stupid, but I don't know what book you're referring to.
Teresa, it's in the winning
And
formula
readings.
framework, and it's the Big Point Player singles training manual, which is a downloadable link that should be in your members area in the winning formula framework.
The winning formula framework. Okay, well, I will take a look for it because I've just been watching all the videos.
Yep. And
Okay.
if you can't find it, just shoot me a message and we'll get it to you.
Okay, winning formula framework, and there's a downloadable book. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Sorry
Singles
to
manual.
be so ignorant. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys, before we get on and get out to train?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys really for what you've done already. I think it's really encouraging, and just a few of these tips. I like the one, Mark, about the cocktail of legal chemicals that you get when you're playing these matches. And I thought about that when I was getting a little tight in my match the other day, and I thought I turned it into, I might have been thinking, no, don't get tight, whatever you do. Whereas I turned it around to, this is really good. I can feel this going through my body. And now I'm going to just calm my mind. And then this is going to be super powerful. And that calmed me down. I stepped up to the baseline with full clarity. I was like serving to the ad court. I was like, right, I'm going to the guys wide to the backhand. I'm serve volleying and I'm going second ball to the backhand because I've done the opposite to that. I've made him run. And just with that clarity, I could have put it there at 2 miles an hour because he just didn't read it. He was going the wrong way. And I just felt so calm. And, I feel like I'm hopefully just what do they call it? Like, it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the potential here. So I do think it's really powerful. So thanks a
Great.
lot.
Let me push back on 2 things. First of all, just let you know, I'm not sure what the word is, but the vibrations down my neck and spine, listening to you to turn that story around is fantastic. So 2 things for everybody. The brain, when you say do not to the brain doesn't get it. So if you play golf and there's water by the hole, and you say, do not put it in the water. It's a aiming sight for putting it in the water. So for you to turn, do not get tight into, let's feed off this man is fantastic. And I just want to pick you up on the word hopefully, because there is no hopefully. You can't.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't bank hope. So you're either going to, or you're not going to. And either is fine.
I'm in.
Okay, good boy.
Mark, one more question. So is the idea that you make it so simple that come hell or high water, this is my story, this is my song, this is how I'm going to play tennis, win or lose, all in doing this, that it replaces the whole thing about the outcome and am I beating this person and all of the chatter and the BS that you hear around any kind of a match. I'm not even talking about a competitive match. could be a friendly match.
This is massive. Ramon, let me just say a few sentences and you can finish off. So it's all about the process. This is coming in week 2 or week 3, I can't remember, but it's all
Week
about
2.
the process. So although we talk about big points and we talk about winning, the reality is there is no big points and there is no winning. Okay, so this is just process driven and you're in the moment, you're 100% in the process. You don't give a fig about the outcome, and the outcome,
Love that.
will be what the outcome will be.
So in other words, but in goal setting, for example, if one said,
Sure. No, you need a North Star and you need a goal. Absolutely true. We need objectives. But in the moment, the more you're attached to the outcome, the less you are in the process, the more you will not get the outcome you want.
got
The
it.
more you'll be thinking.
Now, I want to
Yeah.
interject though on you're saying, you're saying we should say, my name is winner. That's an outcome. That's an
I
outcome.
get it's also a being. It's a being.
Okay.
You can
okay.
win. I guess you can
Yeah.
win the inner game, can't you? You can, if you're
Sure.
following your process and
Yes.
you are committing to hitting your targets. Even let's say you don't win the point, you have followed
Correct.
the process, and
Correct.
hence that's one way of thinking about it. But that's
Correct.
how maybe I would think about it.
Yeah.
Because people are, obviously people are better than you. This is not a ticket to winning every match. It's not.
Mhm.
But so nobody can, the 25 seconds between the points, you can win that. You can occupy space in the opponent's brain. You can be in process. You can focus on your targets. And what will be, will be. But you kind of, the more you get into it, the more that you can dictate to the universe, so the universe falls your way. Ramon, anything to say before my voice totally goes?
It's just fantastic. So fortunate to be here with you guys, learning with all of you. And just want to encourage everyone to keep uploading your training videos into the app. Again, it goes back to that accountability pressure and doing what you say and say what you're going to do every time you go out. And if you can, make sure you always have visible targets on the court when you're training, so that we can see what you're doing. Thank you guys so much.
Ramon, is there a Big Point Player app? I've just been-
No,
There's not. There's
Okay,
not.
okay, that's,
Charlotte.
I'm not missing something then. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys,
Thanks,
have an
everyone.
awesome day. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you.
bye.